Hello again, everybody. In this video, we're going to be talking about social interaction, particularly social statuses. So to get right to it, what you're looking at here in this slide is an example person with the various statuses that they have. So when we're talking about social interaction and social statuses, we're talking about the different personas, let's say, that any person can occupy. In this case, we have the sample person is represented by this orange dot. And this person is a dance partner, they're a boss, they're a friend, they belong to a Harley club, they play sports, and they're a business manager. So any one person has multiple statuses. So although I don't know a whole lot about you guys, and you guys don't know a whole lot about me, we both know some of each other's statuses. For instance, I know that one of your statuses is that you are a student at Wabanti Community College, and you know that one of my statuses is that I am an instructor at Wabanti Community College. I'm also a husband because I'm married. I'm also a father because I have children. Those are two more of my statuses. And I have the social status of being a man and of being a particular age. And you have a collection of statuses that you have. So each person has multiple statuses that are associated with them. And we can divide these statuses into a number of different categories. The first two categories we'll look at are what are ascribed and achieved. So ascribed statuses are statuses that a person does not choose. Whether you like it or not, you have this status. There's not really anything that you can do about it. Achieved statuses are statuses that are chosen. So when we were looking at this previous slide, this is a collection of achieved statuses. This person, again represented by this orange dot, could at any time decide to end one of these multiple statuses that are shown here. If they're tired of being the boss, they can quit, and then that status goes away. If they get into a fight with that friend, they can break that friend off, and then all of a sudden, they're not friends anymore. That status goes away. And the same thing is true for each one of these things. These are achieved statuses. They choose to have these statuses. Very different from ascribed statuses. Okay, so one of your ascribed statuses might be your race. That is an ascribed status. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, you have that status. It's not something that you can alter or change. So when we're looking at a person's collection of statuses, which we'll later refer to as their status set, which means all the different statuses that a person has, you're going to have collections of, you're going to have ascribed statuses and you're going to have achieved statuses all mixed in together, and all those things collectively make you and all the different facets of you and everybody else that's around. The third category of status is a different kind of status, and it doesn't necessarily have to be separate from these first two. The third kind of status is what's called a master status. And this is a status that a person has that is of a special importance. So it's kind of like before they are all of those other things, they are first this, right? This is how people first see them. This is how people first understand them. This is how they primarily define themselves. Okay, but there's an interesting thing to take note here. So master status is not necessarily ascribed by the person, right? It's not necessarily up to me what my master status is. More importantly, it's up to the people around me what my master status is. They are the ones that are going to be really determining how I am seen. I mean, I can choose to be seen in any particular kind of way, and I can want to be seen in a particular kind of way, but if society disagrees with that, and there's some disagreement between what I think my master status should be and what people around me think my master status should be, the people around me are going to win. Let's say, for instance, I decide that I'm going to move out into a very rural town somewhere in the middle of Colorado, rural Colorado. And there's no teaching positions, but I have to find a job. And I go through the newspaper, I go through the websites, I'm looking for jobs everywhere, and then I find that there's a position open at the police department. Now, I don't really have any desire to be a police officer, but I need a job, so I'm going to go apply for that job. Let's say then I get the job, so then I start driving around in this small town as one of 2 or 3 police officers in that town. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things that I do, right? I'm still married. I'm still a dad. Let's say I help to coach the kids' Little League team and all that kind of stuff. But the people of the town see me as Jason, the police officer, right? Because that's how they know me. And regardless of all these other things that I do, to them, that's what I am first. At first, I'm a cop. Like, yeah, I teach the kids' Little League team. Yeah, I'm married, and yeah, I have a kid. But everybody sees me as the cop because I'm only one of 2 or 3 cops there. Now, I don't see myself that way, right? That's just a job that I have. But these other people see me like that, so then that thing is my master status, right? It's how they perceive you. So again, if there's any conflict between the two, what I might perceive my master status to be, or what others might perceive my master status to be, other people win. Society wins, right? So for many people that have any type of minority status, if they're a racial minority or a gender minority, often that thing is their master status. And sometimes this can line up with what the person defines their own master status as. People who have physical or mental disabilities, often that thing is their master status. Yeah, there's a lot of other things about them, but first they are that guy in the wheelchair, or first they are that girl with the other kind of disability, right? So master statuses, again, is one of the different kinds of statuses, but a really important one, because whatever your master status is, this is how most people are going to decide how they're going to interact with you. So in my cop example, where I'm the cop, right, people are going to interact with me as if I'm a cop, right? That's my job. That's what I do. I'm not really passionate about that. I just do that to get a paycheck. But maybe it makes people uncomfortable talking to me about certain things. Or maybe they come up and ask me questions about what the law is about all kinds of stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I just, I kind of do what I'm supposed to do, and then I leave and go home. It's just a job for me. But that's one of the reasons why it makes it so important. So when we look at these things, these different statuses that a person has, we have examples of, that's not supposed to be there. We have examples of a woman here with a small collection of statuses that she has. And again, when we add up all the different statuses that a person has, we refer to this as their status set. So all the different statuses that you have, student, son or daughter, worker or boss, boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, all the different statuses that you have, those are your status set. And attached to each one of these statuses is a set of roles, okay? Because it's not enough that a person has a status, but that we as society expect that if a person has a particular status, that comes with a set of behaviors. Right? So like if I am going to be a college teacher, well then there's a certain set of behaviors that I should have and people should expect out of me if I am a college teacher, right? And some of those things are that I'm honest, I should be smart, I should be fair, and a whole bunch of other things that are associated with our collective perception about what a college teacher is. Likewise, as college students, there's perceptions about the kind of behaviors that you should exhibit. Right? You should be inquisitive, you should be curious, you should be punctual, right? There's all these things that we attach to the behaviors that we attach to the social status of student. And we can say the same thing for all of the statuses, right? No matter what kind of status you have, there are expectations that if you say and have that status, well, then you have these traits or qualities that go with that status, right? Those are called the roles that are associated with any particular status. So here we have this example here, and this woman has one of her statuses as that she's a professor. And as a professor, she has her teaching role, right? So she's expected to be a teacher and the different things that go along with that and teaching students. But she's also expected to be a colleague, right? So sometimes she's in the classroom working with students, answering questions, but then other times she's up in her office and there's other teachers around there and they want to collaborate and do things and, work on projects or whatever it is else that they might want to do, right? So these are the behaviors, these roles that get attached to the status of professor, right? She's also a wife. And then there's behaviors that are associated with that status. She's also a mom. So then there's behaviors, roles that get attached to that status. So when you think about all your statuses and the collection of those things that you have, and then the different roles that are associated with those different statuses, right? That's a lot of different kind of behaviors and a lot of different kind of traits that you are expected to exhibit at any given time. Like when you're at work, if you have a job and you work as an employee, there's a set of roles that are associated with that, right? You're supposed to be punctual, you're supposed to be friendly, you're supposed to be cooperative, right? And all of these things are expected out of you because you have this status as employee. Now, if you're a boss, then those different behaviors will change slightly, right? You should be assertive, you should be a leader, right? There's other traits that go along with that status. Okay, so thinking about this, and thinking about these kinds of behaviors, sometimes these behaviors play nice with each other, and sometimes they don't. Okay, so we have some sociological terms to describe this. The first is role conflict, and role conflict happens when a person experiences a problem performing the roles of one status because it contradicts with the role that they're supposed to perform with another status. So role conflict happens in between two or more statuses. So you guys know that, because I said earlier that I'm a college teacher, right? And that I'm a dad. So let's say my daughter enrolls in my college course, and then I catch her cheating on the exam, okay? I am going to now experience role conflict because as the teacher of the class, part of the role, that behaviors, the characteristics that I'm supposed to exhibit there is to be fair, right? I'm supposed to be fair to everybody, not play favorites. Here's my daughter in the class and she's cheating. One of the other things I'm supposed to do is to maintain the academic integrity of the course, right? If I know that somebody's cheating, they're getting an unfair advantage over the other students, and that's not fair to them, and that's jeopardizing the integrity of the class. So that student has their grade suffer, right? But as dad, I'm supposed to protect my child. I'm supposed to make sure that she grows up and has all the opportunities I can make available to her. So if I fail her on this exam, like I should be doing as the college instructor, I am simultaneously breaking what I should be doing as dad, and vice versa. Right? The same thing would happen in my cop example, right? What if I'm this police officer in this town and then I pull over a car and unbeknownst to me, my kid is inside and a search gets conducted and I find out my kid is toting around a 0.5 gram of crack. Now, if I arrest my kid, like I'm supposed to do as my status as cop, because part of my status as cop is to enforce the law, right? It's against the law to carry around crack. Right? If I enforce the law on my kid, I am simultaneously breaking what I'm supposed to be doing as parents, which is protect my kid, protect them from harm, because that'd be very harmful for my kid to have an arrest record for crack cocaine. Okay? This is role conflict. Okay? It's a problem with participating in and exhibiting the behavior of one status because it contradicts with another status. Okay? Role strain happens within a single status. And this can, for some people, be a little bit more difficult to understand, but you've probably seen it happen in real life. Role strain happens when, again, each status has multiple roles associated with it. So role strain happens when performing one of those roles within that status contradicts with another role within that status. You've probably seen this at work. Have you ever had a job where the person in charge, maybe it was the supervisor, the shift supervisor, maybe it was the manager, maybe it was the owner, but probably a lower level supervisor, manager kind of person, becomes a little bit too friendly with the employees, and then because of that, later has a problem exhibiting their authority and exercising their authority over them. This is role strain, okay? Now, as the manager, the person in charge is supposed to have authority over the people who they are managing. So if it's at the McDonald's and whoever the shift supervisor is, they tell everybody what to do, right? Go get the fries. It's time you go work the cash register. You go mop the floor out there, right? They're the ones leading the ship. And then when it's not busy, one of the things they're also supposed to do is to build a friendly environment among that team so that they work better together. Sometimes people can accidentally become a little bit too friendly with their employees, so that when they need to exercise that authority, hey, Jason, I need you to go mop up that big nasty spill over by table 6. Jason sees you more like a buddy instead of a boss, and then Jason doesn't go and do what you asked him to do. Now you've experienced role strain. Okay? Again, this is very, very common. If I ask for a show of hands, probably most of you guys would put a hand up for this kind of situation. So this is role strain. Again, for some it sounds trickier, but it's really not. Okay, because you've probably seen it in life, and there's a lot more examples that we could talk about. So in this video, we've talked about what social statuses are, what social roles are, those behaviors that are attached to those different statuses, the different kinds of statuses, achieve statuses, ascribe statuses, and master statuses, and how those roles can sometimes conflict with one another in role conflict and role strain. If you have any questions or feedback, I'd like to see it. If you could leave a comment below the video. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.